Well, Professor Shabir Madhi from Wits University's Vaccines and Infectious Disease Analytics Research Unit joins us to discuss these developments. Prof, thank you for your time. Always good to have you. Now, just for clarity's sake, I mean, what is Moderna here saying? Are they saying that they do have confidence, in the vaccine that they have so far, but they just need to sort of make additional tests to ensure that it can protect against this new variant?
So good morning to you. So I think the experiments which Moderna have indeed done basically indicates that the antibody responses that were triggered to the vaccine are about six-fold less potent against the variant compared to the activity of the antibody against previous variants of the virus. So you can't really extrapolate as to whether the vaccine is going to work or not. I think it's a bit of an overstatement to suggest that they are certain that this vaccine is going to work against COVID-19, because if that was the case, they obviously wouldn't be pursuing a second generation of vaccine. So they're cautiously optimistic that the vaccine might work. The problem, right, that we've currently experienced is we don't know exactly what concentration of antibodies required for vaccines to work against this particular variant. And in the absence of that, it's difficult to extrapolate from the lab findings and infer that you're going to or you're not going to have the vaccine will or will not be effective or efficacious against the variant that's circulating in South Africa.
Right, Prof. With that being said, I mean, how long will this test, which they're having at this moment, take?
So the lab tests are completed, but unfortunately that's got limitations in terms of extrapolating what would happen clinically. And at the end of the day, the only manner in which you'll be able to establish whether these vaccines work against the variant or not is either by doing the clinical trials, which will hopefully be concluded very soon in South Africa, or alternatively, once you've introduced the vaccine, you start seeing what number of breakthrough cases you actually find after the vaccine has been deployed, and investigate those breakthrough cases to establish whether the breakthrough was a consequence of the antibody not functioning against the variant or for some other reason. So it's really a drawn-out process before you can get the definitive answer, but certainly for the studies which are currently underway in South Africa, we will be getting an answer very soon as to whether the 3 vaccines that are being evaluated do protect against this variant.
And Prof, are you at liberty to share any information, if you have at your disposal, in terms of the study which they have made to study sort of the impact of the existing vaccine? And I understand that vaccine is called mRNA-1273.
So that is the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine. Those are the messenger RNA vaccines. I think you're referring to those vaccines.
Right, yes, I am.
Yeah, the only data we've got for those vaccines is basically experiments that have been conducted in the lab. In fact, for the Pfizer vaccine, those experiments were only conducted against the variant that is circulating in the United Kingdom, which is very different from the variant that's circulating in South Africa in relation to whether or not the vaccines will actually protect against the South African variant. And similarly for Moderna, they've basically included the equivalent of the South African variant in their experiments. But again, the number of individuals whose serum was tested is relatively few. And again, I would be cautious in terms of suggesting that the vaccine will protect against the South African variant.
So you're also saying that even with South Africans, upon the vaccine arriving in the country, it should not be regarded as almost a silver bullet that will resolve all problems regarding the pandemic and the virus.
Yes, unfortunately, the evolution of this variant in South Africa is very much of a curveball in terms of what we can expect with COVID-19 vaccines. I still remain cautiously optimistic that vaccines will have some effect, but whether they're as effective to this variant compared to earlier viruses that were circulating in the country and elsewhere, that remains to be seen.
All right. Professor Shabir Madhi, thank you so much for your time.